They thought my silence meant I was fine. They thought my tears were weak. But they never knew the truth. That the pain I hid was the same pain that saved their lives. I remember the first time the pain shot through my chest like a bolt of lightning. Sharp, burning, the kind that makes you freeze where you stand. I gripped the kitchen counter with both hands, praying my knees wouldn't give out. My fingers trembled, my breath thinned, and for a moment, everything around me felt distant, muted, far away. But I didn't call for help. Why would I? No one was listening. My children walked past me that morning, my son scrolling on his phone, my daughter-in-law complaining about something trivial, both of them too busy to notice the way my face twisted with pain. I stood there, trying to breathe, trying to steady myself, while they argued about grocery lists and work schedules as if I didn't exist. I'm used to being invisible. Used to hiding hurt behind a tired smile. Used to wiping away tears before anyone can see them. Those are my silent tears, the ones nobody ever asks about. The doctor had warned me months ago. You need rest. No heavy work. Take it seriously. But how can a grandmother rest when the house depends on her? Who will cook? Who will clean? Who will keep the home warm? I kept working. Kept pushing. Kept pretending that everything was fine. Pain is easier to ignore than loneliness. That morning, the ache crept into my jaw and shoulder, radiating down my arm. My heart felt like it was squeezing itself into a tight fist. I leaned on the counter, praying silently, not yet. I still have work to do. I needed to prepare breakfast, make the kids' lunches, fold the laundry, everyday things that nobody thanked me for, but would panic about if undone. And so, I forced myself to move. One step. Another. Another. I cooked through blurry eyes. My hands trembled as I chopped vegetables. The pan sizzled loudly, a sound I usually loved, but today it echoed in my ears like thunder. My chest felt heavier, my throat tighter. But I kept going. Because that's what women like me do. We carry the world while pretending it weighs nothing. Later that afternoon, while everyone laughed in the living room, I slipped quietly into the hallway, pressing my palm against my chest, trying to soothe the throbbing pulse under my skin. Tears welled up, but I wiped them away before they could fall. If they saw me cry, they would only say I was being dramatic. If they saw me struggle, they would call it old age. No one sees the battles we fight silently. No one understands the storms we hide inside our bones. That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, I stood by the window clutching the ache in my chest, watching the streetlights blur behind my tears. My breaths came shallow. My legs shook. And a strange heaviness settled in my stomach, the kind that whispers that something terrible is coming. I didn't know what. I didn't know when. But I felt it. A grandmother's instinct is sharper than any warning alarm. And that instinct, my silent, ignored intuition, would soon be the reason my family survived. But no one knew that yet. I wiped my eyes, pressed a hand to my heart, and whispered into the quiet night. Please, just let me hold on a little longer. I didn't know that the pain inside me was not just a burden. It was a signal. A sign. A message that something was about to happen. Something that would test every breath left inside me. Something that would make my silent tears impossible to ignore. The next morning, the pain returned before the sun had even risen. A deep, pulsing ache throbbed inside my chest, slow at first, then sharp enough to force me to grip the edge of the bed. I closed my eyes and breathed through it, biting the inside of my cheek so the sound of my struggle wouldn't escape. I didn't want them to hear me. I didn't want them to say, "Mom, you're overreacting again." Or worse, look at each other with that bored expression that always felt like a slap. I sat there for a long time, letting the pain wash over me in quiet waves. When I finally stood, my head spun. The walls tilted slightly, but I held on to the dresser, willing myself not to fall. Dizziness faded slowly, leaving me with a faint tremor in my hands. I tucked them behind my back so no one would notice. I walked into the kitchen, barefoot, the tiles cold under my feet. The morning light filtered through the blinds in thin silver lines. The world felt slow, heavy, like it was holding its breath. And so was I. My son entered first. He didn't look at me. Didn't see how my shoulders sagged under a weight he couldn't imagine. He opened the fridge, grabbed a juice box, and left without a word. My daughter-in-law followed behind. Her eyes skimmed over me, uninterested, almost irritated, as if my existence itself added clutter to her day. "You didn't iron the shirts last night," she said sharply. I swallowed the pain in my chest and spoke quietly. I wasn't feeling well. "Yeah, okay," she muttered without even turning. "You say that every time you don't want to do something." Every time. If only she knew. I wanted to tell her that my bones felt like they were crumbling, that half the night I couldn't breathe, that the pain had nearly brought me to my knees. I wanted to scream that my silence wasn't laziness, it was survival. But I said nothing. Because I knew she wouldn't hear me anyway. I went back to ironing, my fingers numb, the steam from the iron blurring my vision as tears threatened. Silent tears, again. The only kind I knew how to cry. The day felt strange, too quiet, too tense. I felt a pressure in the house, a heaviness in the air I couldn't explain. The walls felt warmer than usual. The floors creaked in places they never had before. Even the lights flickered softly, like they were whispering secrets no one else could hear. And my heart, a stubborn old soldier, kept sending me warnings in the form of sharp electric jabs. By afternoon, the air smelled faintly like something metallic. Something wrong. I paused in the hallway, sniffing the air again to be sure. But when I asked the kids if they smelled anything unusual, they shrugged. "It's probably just you," one of them said. "Just me. Just the old woman." But my instincts, the same instincts that raised children, survived grief, carried decades of wisdom, felt louder than ever. Something was off. Something was coming. Around sunset, the pain in my chest flared again, worse than ever. It radiated up my neck, down my arms, sharp enough to steal my breath. I leaned against the wall, gripping it so tightly my knuckles turned white. But instead of calling for help, I walked to the kitchen. Something pulled me there. A quiet force. A whisper inside my bones that said, "Look." The moment I stepped inside, a faint sizzling sound reached my ears. A distant crackling. My eyes scanned the counters, the stove, the outlets. And then I smelled it. Not metal. Not dust. Burning. Wiring. Electric. The house was hiding a danger no one else could sense. But my heart, my hurting, ignored heart, felt it. I reached for the wall silently, fear crawling up my spine. My silent tears weren't from pain anymore. They were from terror. And I whispered to myself, something is about to happen. The crackling sound grew sharper, clearer, as if the walls themselves were whispering for help. I took a slow step toward the corner near the old electrical outlet. My chest throbbed again, this time not just from pain, but from fear. I placed my hand near the outlet. The wall felt warm. Not normal warm. Wrong warm. Dangerously warm. My instinct screamed louder than the pain in my ribs. I turned toward the living room, where everyone sat laughing at a show on TV. The sound of their laughter stabbed deeper than my chest pain. How could they laugh when something felt so, I don't know, wrong? Maybe a mother senses danger differently. Maybe a grandmother feels the shift before anyone else. I called out softly, "Come here for a moment. Something's not right." No one answered. The TV drowned me out. Their laughter swallowed my voice. I raised my volume, not a shout, but a desperate plea. "Please, just check this outlet for me." My daughter-in-law sighed loudly, paused the show, and walked over with irritation written across her face. "What now?" she asked, rolling her eyes. I swallowed the sting of her tone. "The wall is warm. Something's burning. You can smell it." She placed her hand on it half-heartedly. Barely a second. It's fine, she snapped. Maybe your hands are just warm. No, I whispered. Listen. She didn't listen. She turned away, waving me off like a buzzing mosquito. You worry too much. Stop imagining things. Imagination. If only it was imagination. She walked back to the couch, unbothered, and my son didn't even look up. The kids ran around, laughing. The house looked calm, perfect, normal. But every instinct in my bones screamed danger. A silent alarm that only I could hear. I pressed my fingers gently against the wall again. This time the pain in my chest flared so sharply I lost my breath. My vision blurred. I felt myself sway, but I caught the counter before I fell. Still, I forced myself to stay standing, stay focused. Because if I didn't, something terrible would happen. I kept listening. Crackle. Pop. A tiny spark sounded from inside the wall. My heart raced, not from fear, but from certainty. I hurried to the living room again. We need to turn off the electricity in that room, I said, louder this time. Please. Just for a few minutes. Something is burning behind the wall. My son exhaled sharply. Mom, can you stop? Please? You're stressing everyone out. Stress. That's what they thought this was. I looked at him, my child I raised with these hands. The same hands shaking now under the weight of exhaustion and warning. He didn't see the fear in my eyes. He didn't notice the tremble in my voice. My pain, my instincts, my experience, none of it mattered to them anymore. They only saw an old woman. Fragile. Forgetful. Annoying. But my heart felt danger crawling through the walls of the house. A house I had spent years caring for. A house I knew like my own breath. I stood there, the room spinning, knowing no one would believe me. And yet, the burning smell grew stronger. I could almost hear the wires hissing inside the insulation. I couldn't ignore it. Not anymore. I walked back to the kitchen, gripping the walls for balance. My breathing came short and sharp. My vision darkened at the edges. But I kept moving toward the breaker box. If they wouldn't listen, I would stop the danger myself. My fingers shook violently as I reached for the metal panel. My heart pounded like a trapped bird inside my chest, each beat more painful than the last. Open it, just open it. I mumbled to myself. I pulled the door open. My vision blurred. My knees buckled. The room tilted. The last thing I heard before everything went black was a loud crack from inside the wall, and a single thought echoing through my fading consciousness. I was right. Something is about to happen. And then, darkness. Complete, heavy darkness. The night the house breathed. I should have slept that night. Any normal person would have. But I couldn't. There was a heaviness in the air, something thick, something is wrong. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling a strange pressure behind my ribs, not exactly in pain this time, but a warning. My old bones know things. My instincts whisper louder than people. And that night, every instinct in me screamed. Stay awake. The house felt different. Still. Too still. Like it was holding its breath. I got up slowly, my joints aching, and wrapped a shawl around my shoulders. The hallway was dark, silent, yet I felt movement. Not footsteps. Not voices. Just, something shifting. I walked toward the living room, leaning on the wall for balance. The floor was cold. The air smelled off, like metal, mixed with something burnt. But nothing was burning. I whispered into the dark, "Is anyone awake?" No answer. My granddaughter's room door was closed. My daughter's room was shut. Everyone was sleeping peacefully, unaware. I held my breath and listened. There it was again, a soft hiss, like a snake crawling inside the walls. I froze. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't pipes. It was something I'd heard only once in my life, back when my husband and I lived in a small rented house, decades ago. A house that almost exploded from a hidden gas leak. Saved only because I woke up choking on the fumes. That hiss. That exact same hiss, was inside this house now. My heartbeat went wild. My fingers went cold. I shuffled toward the kitchen. My legs felt like they were filled with sand, heavy and trembling. But I kept going. And when I reached the kitchen doorway, my breath caught. The stove's main valve, the one my son-in-law swore was always tight, was slightly turned. Not fully open, just enough to let gas seep out quietly, slowly, deadly. I didn't panic. I couldn't. I didn't have the luxury. Instead, I whispered to myself, stay calm. Move slowly. My hand shook as I reached for the valve. My fingertips grazed it, and the hissing grew louder. I tightened it with every bit of strength left in these old hands. But as I did, the lights above me flickered. A spark. A tiny pop. My heart dropped. If the spark hit the gas. I closed the valve fully, then stepped back. But the gas, it wasn't just from the stove. The smell was stronger now. Coming from somewhere else. Oh God, not the heater, my voice trembled. I moved toward the wall heater. The pilot light was supposed to be off at night. But it was flickering weakly. A single spark in the wrong second, my entire family could die in their sleep. The room spun. My chest tightened. I wanted to scream. But screaming could wake them, and if they turned on the lights, if they ran, if they panicked. No. No, I had to handle this alone. I opened the back door to let the gas escape. Cold air rushed in. My eyes watered. My lungs burned. I turned off the heater valve completely, then waited, holding the door open, breathing shallow. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the smell faded. The hissing stopped. The house seemed to exhale. And just as I leaned against the wall to catch my breath, my legs gave out. I hit the floor. Hard. My vision blurred and all I could think was, at least they're safe. At least my babies won't die tonight. My last memory before the darkness swallowed me was the sound of my granddaughter calling my name, half asleep, confused. Grandma, why are you on the floor? And then, nothing. A heavy, endless nothing. The moment they finally saw me. When I opened my eyes, everything was white. A ceiling. A light too bright. Voices somewhere far away. For a moment, I didn't know if I was alive, or caught in the space between. Then I heard it, my granddaughter's tiny cry. Grandma? Please, please wake up. Her voice pulled me back. Back into my body. Back into the pain. My chest felt like someone had placed a brick on it. My arms were heavy. My throat is dry. I tried to speak, nothing came out. Only a breath. A thin shaky breath. My daughter rushed into view. Her makeup smeared, hair messy, panic all over her face. Mom. Oh my God, doctor. She's awake. For years, she never ran toward me like that. For years, I was someone she walked past. Someone she tolerated. Now she held my hand like it was her lifeline. But I wasn't ready to comfort her. Not yet. Inside my head, the memories crashed back, the hissing in the walls, the gas, the cold air, the fall, and the darkness. Before she could speak again, a doctor stepped beside her. Tall. Calm. Focused. Ma'am, can you hear me? He asked. I nodded weakly. You're safe, he continued. But you went into what we call hypoxic collapse. You inhaled a dangerous amount of gas. Gas. The word hung in the air like a knife. My daughter jerked her head toward him, confused. Gas? What gas? There's no gas leak in our house, my husband checks everything. She must have opened something by mistake. No, the doctor cut her off gently, but firmly. She didn't cause it. She prevented it. Silence. Thick and heavy. My daughter blinked, not understanding. What do you mean prevented? The doctor sighed. His voice became serious, almost shaken. Your house had a major leak. 2 sources. One from the kitchen. One from the heater. If she had not acted when she did, he paused. Look at me. Then I looked back at my daughter. His throat tightened slightly. Your entire family could have died in your sleep. My daughter staggered back like he had slapped her. No, that can't be right. We didn't smell anything. We didn't hear anything. She did, the doctor said softly. She noticed the signs before anyone else. Her instincts are the only reason you're all alive. My granddaughter clung to my arm, crying harder. Grandma saved us. Grandma saved us? The doctor nodded. My daughter began shaking, slow at first, then violently. Her disbelief turned into guilt. Then into something darker, the kind of regret that lives under the ribs forever. But, she collapsed, she whispered, her voice cracking. Why didn't she call us? Why didn't she wake us up? Why didn't she let us help? I looked at her. Straight into her eyes. And with a dry, fragile voice, I finally whispered. Because when I speak, no one listens. Her face broke. Completely. Like glass shattering. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her hands covered her mouth as if trying to hold in years of guilt and denial. She dropped into the chair next to my bed, sobbing. Mom. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't see. I didn't. The doctor placed a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes, he said quietly, love doesn't mean anything if you refuse to notice pain. Those words struck her harder than anything I could have said. For the first time in years, my daughter held me. Not out of duty. Not out of obligation. But out of fear of losing me forever. Her tears wet my hospital gown as she whispered, you saved us, and we almost lost you. I'll never ignore you again. Never. But I didn't speak. Not yet. Because forgiveness isn't instant. And physical wounds heal faster than emotional ones. The doctor checked my vitals, then stood. We'll keep running tests, he said. You inhaled enough gas to damage your lungs. You need rest. A lot of it. As he walked away, I stared at my daughter's trembling hands around mine. She finally saw me. Finally. But the truth was just beginning. Because of the gas leak? The 2 open valves? Those weren't accidents. And I wasn't ready, not yet, to tell them the part 1 had kept buried in my chest. The part that changed everything. The truth I didn't want to say out loud. The hospital room was quiet, too quiet. My daughter sat beside me, wiping her tears again and again, almost ashamed to look up. My son-in-law paced near the window, whispering to someone on the phone, probably telling neighbors or relatives what happened. But I wasn't listening to any of them. I was listening to the truth banging inside my chest. A truth I didn't want to speak. A truth I had been carrying for days. The doctor came in again to check my oxygen levels. My daughter jumped to her feet like a soldier waiting for orders. Doctor. Please tell me how this happened. My mom doesn't, she doesn't go near the heater. She barely uses the stove. How could there be 2 leaks? The doctor hesitated. A tiny hesitation, but I caught it. I always catch the small things. Ma'am, he said slowly, there are only 2 possibilities. Either the equipment is faulty, extremely faulty, or someone turned those valves. Turned. Intentionally. My daughter shook her head aggressively. No. No, our house is safe. My husband checked it last week. The kids don't touch anything. Only Mom was awake that late. She must have. She didn't, the doctor said firmly. My daughter swallowed it. Then who? The doctor glanced at me, like he knew I was hiding something. But he didn't push. He left the room quietly. My daughter turned to me, her voice trembling, her guilt mixing with fear. Mom, please. Tell me. Did you see something? Did someone come in? Did someone do something to the heater? I looked at her. Really looked. She was still my daughter, flaws, imperfections, and all. But she was also a woman drowning in her own denial. So I took a shaky breath. And whispered the words I had been avoiding. It wasn't an accident. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I closed my eyes for a moment, gathering strength. The truth tasted like iron in my mouth. I heard someone in the kitchen that night, I said quietly. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. And the click of a valve. My daughter covered her mouth, her breath escaping in a gasp. Who? Who was it, Mom? I looked away. Because I knew who it was. I had known from the moment I collapsed. I had known from the way the footsteps moved, not heavy like a man's, not light like a child's. A woman's steps. Someone who had been irritated by my presence. Someone who had told me more than once. You make things difficult around here. You slow everyone down. You should rest more, maybe stay out of the kitchen. My voice cracked. It was Emily. My daughter froze. Her husband's sister. The woman who had moved into the house temporarily. The woman who complained about everything, the cold room, the crowded kitchen, the old lady smell. My daughter stuttered, no. Emily wouldn't, she. But even she didn't believe her own words. She thought the smell was coming from the heater, I whispered. She said it loudly that same evening. She said she would fix it herself because she didn't want to wait for anyone. My daughter sat down slowly, like her knees were giving out. Oh my God, she whispered. Mom, she could have killed all of us. She didn't mean to, I said, though my voice was thin and tired. She didn't know. She was careless. Impatient. But she wasn't trying to hurt anyone. But she did hurt you, my daughter snapped. She almost killed you. And us. And she didn't even check on you when you collapsed. Her voice grew louder. My granddaughter began crying again. The sound tore through my chest. My daughter grabbed my hand again, squeezing it so tightly I felt my pulse pounding through my skin. I won't let her near you again, she said. I swear. I swear to God, Mom. I won't let anyone hurt you again. Ever. Her voice was shaking, breaking, terrified, like she was finally seeing the years I endured, all at once. But inside me, something else was happening. Something silent. Something heavy. Because I realized the truth Emily didn't know, the truth my daughter didn't know, the truth the doctor didn't even suspect. That wasn't the first time the valves had been touched. And if I didn't speak now, someone in that house would eventually die. But the moment my lips parted to tell her the full truth, the entire hospital room shook with an alarm. A nurse rushed in, panicked on her face. Ma'am, your mother's oxygen just dropped, her lungs are in distress. Everyone out now. They pushed my family out as the room filled with staff. And as the world blurred again, as the oxygen mask tightened against my face, all I could think was, the danger isn't over. It's only the beginning. The day everything finally came out. When I woke up again, the room was dim. Rain tapped against the window like fingers begging to be let in. My chest still burned with every breath, but my mind was clearer, clear enough to finally face what I had been avoiding. My daughter walked in slowly. Her face looked older than it had a day ago. Grief, fear, guilt, all carving themselves into her skin. Behind her, my granddaughter slipped in quietly, holding a small stuffed bear, like she was afraid it might be taken away from her too. "Mom," my daughter whispered softly, "can we talk now? Please?" I nodded. Because the truth, the whole truth, could no longer stay inside me. She sat beside me, holding my hand gently, like it could break. "Mom, the gas company came," she said. "They inspected everything. They confirmed someone opened the valves. Whoever did it turned both knobs almost fully to the right. Not halfway. Not accidentally. They twisted them all the way." She swallowed hard. "Mom, that's not carelessness. That's dangerous. Really dangerous." The air thickened between us. She looked directly into my eyes. "Mom, was it really Emily?" I stared at her for a moment. Then I told her the truth. All of it. "It wasn't just Emily," I whispered. She opened the heater valve, thinking she was helping. She didn't understand how it worked. And she didn't check anything afterward. My daughter covered her face, whispering, "Oh my God." "But the kitchen valve," I paused, my voice trembling. "That wasn't her." Her head snapped up. "Then who?" I took a deep breath. "It was your son." She froze. Absolutely still. What? "Your little boy. He was hungry. He wanted to heat a tortilla. He didn't know how the stove works. He turned the knob, but the flame didn't come on. He panicked, and he ran away." My daughter's breath hitched violently. I continued, my voice soft but heavy. "He didn't tell you. He was scared you'd be mad. He thought it was nothing." She stared at me like the world had just flipped upside down. "My God," she whispered. "My God, Mom, why didn't he tell me? Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he asked me not to," I answered gently. "He cried. He begged. And I saw myself in him, a child terrified of disappointing their mother." Tears streamed down her face. She covered her mouth as sobs shook her. "I was so busy with work and bills and stress that I didn't see anything." She cried harder. "I didn't see your pain. I didn't see the kids' fear. I didn't see the danger building in my own home." Her guilt poured out of her like a river finally breaking its dam. I placed my trembling hand over hers. "You saw enough today," I whispered. "And now you can change it." She bowed her head onto my lap like a child seeking forgiveness. "I don't deserve you," she whispered. "But I'll earn it. I'll take care of you. I'll hear you. I'll see you." For the first time, her words didn't feel like empty promises. They felt real. A knock came at the door. My son-in-law entered quietly, Emily behind him, her face swollen from crying. She stepped forward, voice barely a breath. "Ma'am. I'm sorry. I thought I knew how to fix things. I almost got you all killed. I'll never touch anything again. Ever. Please forgive me." I nodded gently. "Not because I forgot. But because holding on to anger doesn't heal lungs, or families." My daughter stood and faced everyone. "No more ignoring. No more dismissing. No more pretending everything is fine. This ends now. We take care of Mom. We listen to her. We respect her. And this home will never run in silence again." They all nodded. And for the first time in years, the room didn't feel heavy. It felt whole. Complete. Safe. As I leaned back into my pillow, a single thought washed through me, not of pain, not of regret, but of peace. I wasn't invisible anymore. My silent tears had been seen. My voice, finally heard. This was the story of a grandmother whose pain was ignored, until the day her silence saved everyone. If you felt her strength, her heartbreak, her dignity, then don't forget, there are elders in our homes fighting battles we never see. Listen to them. respect them. Because one day, their instincts might be the only thing that saves you. If you want more emotional stories like this, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps these stories reach a heart that's been hurting in silence.